Every day,
The situation in Baghdad remains tense.
your world is affected by bold ideas.
What we're doing here in this immigration battle is becoming a bilingual nation, and that is not good.
Strong opinions.
Goddamn America!
And questionable judgments.
Will the jury find the defendant not guilty of the crime of murder?
But in the sea of talk shows, news pundits, internet bloggers, talking heads, and political gurus, there is one true voice that is missing. The voice of the people. Now, the people are finally going to get their say, thanks to this man.
With the help of pollster Frank Luntz. The
pollster Frank Luntz is here.
Frank Luntz, you are a master at words.
Highly respected.
He is the guru of politics.
One of the most sought-after political analysts in the world.
Internationally renowned.
Frank Luntz, the Nostradamus of pollsters.
Frank Luntz is the world's expert at finding out what people think.
Everyone grab your dials, please.
While the audience watches the president's performance, its reaction is being measured sentence by sentence, translated electronically to a television screen.
It's almost like an EKG. It gets inside your heart and inside your head. So we know how they're reacting to every word, every phrase, even facial expressions.
He's provocative.
How many of you think that Democrats have more sex than Republicans? Applaud.
Controversial.
What we found was that people actually like the ads better this year than they did last year. And those companies' chief marketing officers, their jobs may be on the line.
Okay.
Funny.
Obama was campaigning door to door, trying to find those last undecided voters. Hillary Clinton was going door to door, trying to find Bill.
And he always gets to the truth, because Frank is Frank.
30-second ad is very powerful in American politics, but it doesn't determine who wins and who loses.
It doesn't matter what you say. It only matters what people hear. And the focus so often in communication is on putting together the best speech possible. And yet what really matters, and this is why I cannot ever speak from podiums, is that I want to be out there because I want to see people. I want to be able to look at their eyes. And you do that every time. The litigators here, every time you're doing this stuff for the jury, I'm going to give this photographer one great shot now. Good. First thing you got to understand is what the American people, how they react to things and what they're doing. The fact is that 4 times as many Americans can name the Three Stooges as name 3 members of the Supreme Court. In fact, more people can name all 5 Stooges. Who's Stooge 4? Shemp. Who's Stooge 5? This guy watches way too much television. Are you a partner? Not yet. For the partners in the back, I'll get you his name when we're done. So if we're not watching, if we're not paying attention to things that really matters, it is so important to get the language right. Look, would you support raising taxes for law enforcement? Half of Americans would say yes. But would you support higher taxes to halt the rising crime rate? 2/3 would say yes. Law enforcement is the process. Rising crime rate is the result. You always focus on the result because Americans don't care how you get there. They just want to know that you actually do get there. I love this one. By 2 to 1, the American people think that we're spending too much money on welfare. But by 7 to 1, they think we're spending too little money on assistance to the poor. What the heck is welfare? And yet we know it because we've so demonized the program, but we still believe in the process. Here are the 21 words for the 21st century, and I'm only going to do a few of them here right now. The word in the upper left-hand side, imagine, the most powerful word in the English language right now. If I were to ask you, imagine your American dream, imagine perfection, imagine the future, when I use the word imagine, it's no longer from my perspective, it's now from yours. It's your imagination. You think about how you're communicating, whether in court or in life. The word imagine puts it in the perspective of the other person rather than you. And imagine is both powerful in a positive way and a negative way, because we can imagine some pretty awful things in life as well as some pretty good things. Hassle-free. It's the thing that we want most. We can't stand waiting in line. The best example of a hassle, how many of you, any of you bought a scissors recently? And it comes in that packaging, which is that plastic. And you're trying to open it up, and you basically need a scissors to open up your scissors. That's an example that the company doesn't understand what hassle-free life is about. We don't want to wait in line, which is why we go on the web. And you know what the single biggest hassle we complain about? Those telephone automated answering systems. Press 1 if you're angry, press 2 if you're whatever. That's an example of communication that absolutely doesn't work. We, as a country, as people in America, have never been so pessimistic, so afraid of the future. There's never been a time since polling began 50, 60 years ago where more people thought that next year was going to be worse than this year. More people thought that the economy was going to get worse. More people were anxious, nervous, afraid. I'm going to show you some of the language and how people feel. And in fact, more people are angry today than they ever have been. And we've been measuring that now for about the last 20 years. And in that environment, it makes it very hard for political compromise. It makes it very hard to turn the public psyche around. So many of the people in this room are hedge fund type people, financial experts. I only know public opinion. And what I know is that the level of fear at this point continues to get worse, even as a new president, a new administration try to turn things around. And I do not see any uptick in terms of consumption. There is no uptick in terms of investment. The public's attitude is, I better get as much cash as I probably can, and I better save it. I'm going to give you two statistics that aren't on this presentation. They're frightening to me. We did a survey third week of January, right after the inauguration. For people who are laid off, 23% have no savings whatsoever. None. They run out of money immediately. 57% overall run out of money within 2 months. So even when they talk about the staples, even when you talk about things that you expect to have to spend on, as the unemployment level goes up, there is no safety net that exists anymore with the public. And that's the great degree of anxiety, of frustration, and most importantly, of fear. 81% worried, 78% frustrated. It is universal. It is unanimous. And this is why the economy, why public spending is not going to come back, and it ain't going to change. It's not going to change in the spring or summer. When you get to the fall and they start to have to make their Christmas decisions, this is why I think that we are deep into 2010 from a public opinion perspective. You all understand it from marketing. You all understand it from your economic theories. I know it from public expectation and what the people want to do. And they do not want to spend, and they do not want to invest, and that is not going to change through the year. And you're going to go through a Christmas season where it does not change. In terms of what makes them angriest about Washington, is politicians being out of touch. It's the sense that they don't understand their hopes, their dreams, and most importantly, their fears. Innovation, invention, creativity, automation, productivity. These are powerful words that transcend the red line and the green line. Never do politicians speak where both Republicans and Democrats agree. It doesn't happen anymore. We can't even go out for dinner because usually between the appetizer and the main course, food ends up on everyone. We haven't learned to cooperate on innovation. There is no differentiation between Republicans and Democrats and between the 21-year-old and the 81-year-old because everyone defines innovation their own way. Governor Napolitano, when you communicate right here the consequences of failure, this is perfect language. Let's take a look.
Part of innovation is recognizing that there will be failures. There will be research projects into new pharmas, and that new drug doesn't work. The tests don't play out. There'll be research into a new kind of material to make a more energy efficient, say, housing material, and it turns out, A, it's not cheap, or it's not manufacturable, or both, or what have you. Those things happen. So when you're talking about fostering innovation, you're building that already into your calculus. And by the way, more people ought to be taking calculus.
The things that got us here
keep going.
Will not get us there. And I believe that. And if we don't innovate, we're going to die. I think literally and figuratively, the race is on to try to bring forward next generation technologies and applications and ideas and inventions. And if Minnesota and America aren't leaders in that effort, we're going to be left behind. And that's going to be to great detriment to our people and the citizens that we serve.
Now, if we don't innovate, we're going to die. Is there something you want to tell us?
No, I've talked enough about that today.
You're much too young. What this is about the future. And Governor Sebelius, when you talk about your children, you've personalized innovation in a way that people can feel it and they understand it. By the way, we conducted these interviews using innovative technologies so that I wasn't in the room with her when I was asking her questions. She was holding up a phone, and she will see in a moment. The language is perfection because it is personal, it is human, and most importantly, it is aspirational. For those of you, I see a few people taking notes, the power of innovation is that it helps people, it allows them to inspire and aspire to things that are greater. This is what's going on with the public. These are the things that they want. We asked a very simple question. What do you want more of that you don't have enough of? There's a difference, though, between men and women. The #1 answer for guys is more money. We want this. This is my George Costanza imitation here. We want this to be as thick as it possibly can be. The #1 answer for women, what is it? More time, exactly. Women are more likely to run the budgets for their house. Women are more likely to be responsible for the kids. Women are more likely to deal with the health care, not only for their family, but for their parents and for their husband's parents. Women are more likely to be doing all these things. And what they're looking for? This is my favorite. I want a show of hands of everyone in this room. How many of you believe that you have a career? That you are in a career right now? Raise your hands. Okay, now put them down. How many of you believe you have a job? Raise your hands. All the people with hands up that say they have a job are leaving. It is the #1 indicator. If someone says to you, yeah, yes, my job is to out as many people as I can in 40 minutes. A career is something that you look forward to going to. It's something that you can't wait to do. It's something that you do nights and weekends. A job is something that you do from 9 to 5. And so we are much more focused on careers, and yet we think politicians should create jobs because politicians can't create careers. That's our job to do.